How to create a video podcast for free. Well, that's a great way to get started, and quite frankly, there is a way to do it, and we will go over that next. By the end of this video, we are going to talk about how to make a podcast video for free. That includes cameras, lighting, editing software, audio, anything and everything that you could possibly need to get your video podcast up and running for $0. Let's do it. Now, I'm glad you asked about putting a video podcast for free because, and this is the craziest thing. It totally blows me away every time I think about this. If you wanted to do just a podcast, just an audio podcast, you could do possibly 85% of it for free. There are a couple things that I would strongly suggest you invest in, not the least of which being a halfway decent microphone, but also, no matter what you end up doing, you're going to have to host your podcast somewhere, and a podcast hosting service is anywhere from $10 to $50 per month, depending on which service you go with and what kind of bells and whistles that they offer with their subscription and hosting. So no matter what you do, you would think that the simpler one, the audio-only one, would be hopefully less expensive. Well, unfortunately, it's not. Actually, video you can do from beginning to end for free. So let's start off with the most obvious thing, and that's going to be the visuals, the camera. Starting with the camera, you can do all kinds of great things with the one that you've already got in your pocket right now. Yes, your smartphone may be a great place to start, and quite frankly, I know most people will disagree with me on this, but doing professional content on your smartphone, oh, that's a travesty. I tell you what, it's a great place to get started because there aren't as many bells and whistles, there aren't as many complicated things that are built into the phone. Don't get me wrong, the phone's got plenty of stuff that it can do, but it's not going to beat, say, a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Those things have more buttons, options, and gadgets inside the camera itself that aren't going to have anything to do with your filming, but they're just there. Whereas your phone has some very simple settings, some that you can set and forget, and then others that you might want to mess with from time to time, just to see what kind of a look you're getting. But other than that, these cameras are also really, really very good, quite frankly, and they're really stepping up more and more every single day. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do with them. In fact, some of the editing right there on your phone in the camera settings, you might see stuff like filters, very common thing, especially when it comes to not the ones that distort your face. I don't think you want to do a podcast video episode with a distorted face. My absolute favorite one is the one with the spider that just kind of randomly crawls on your face. Not a good look for, well, unless you're doing maybe, if you're an exterminator and you're doing an extermination video, okay, fine. But other than that, there's a lot of built-in stuff. The filters, the color changing and stuff like that, that's color correction on a major, massive scale, like when you're getting into color correction in video editing. It's already built into the camera. So it's not a bad place to start. You're going to get a feel for the entire filming process. You're going to understand what to look for, how to frame a shot, good stuff like that. So the very basics, you're going to get pretty good at, and it's all right there in the palm of your hand. Very, very good place to start. Same thing is true for lighting. Lighting is a great place to begin because you really don't have to spend a penny on it if you don't want to. There's some very good places that you can go ahead and set up some lighting and have it work for you. Number one, right in front of a window. If you're in the right window, now the only thing about shooting in front of a window is if you try to do something all day long. Let's say you're going to shoot 10, 15, 20 episodes in a day. That lighting source is moving. Actually, the lighting source isn't moving. The set is moving, which affects the position of the lighting source. Little stuff like that, it's going to look different throughout the day. So be aware of that. And then you also don't want a really sharp light coming through. You don't want to be sitting like in a spotlight type version of sunlight coming through the window. You want to kind of soften it if you can. So let's say it's noon, okay? Just about any window is going to work because the sun's going to be directly overhead. But let's say morning sunlight coming up in the east, you don't want to be sitting in front of this window. Maybe you want to be sitting in front of this window or this window. That way you're not getting the direct sunlight, especially for an afternoon sun as well. Sun going down in the west, you might want to sit in front of a north or a south facing window. You've still got that really bright light, but it's not a direct shot right at you, creating sharp edge shadows across your face or anything like that. You have a little bit more control over it. By picking a different window, you have no control over it throughout the day. That's going to be changing no matter what you do. And we take a deep dive into some of these things. I've got other videos about lighting and cameras and things like that. Some of the stuff, the settings that I alluded to earlier, if you want to check out any of those videos. But that's what we do here to get your business channel up and running, your business YouTube channel, or maybe even your podcast or your blog, to start bringing you organic traffic that brings you clients. That's what we do here. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe, because we got a whole lot more information coming and you don't want to miss it. Now, moving on, what else do you need? For the audio side of things, I would not recommend sticking with this, but to begin with, it's a great place to begin. Again, your smartphone. The audio component is getting better and better, not the way the video component is making leaps and bounds, but the phones are doing very well. Would I suggest using a phone strictly for an audio podcast? No, I would not. But to begin with, you can get away with it, especially if you're doing a solo podcast. If you're doing a solo video cast or podcast, you can bring that camera right up to you so you get much better sound. You're going to be closer to the camera. If you frame it just right, your phone camera is not going to be very far away, so the sound would be okay. You might have to do some processing in post-production to, say, get rid of some room echo, or maybe there's some distracting truck going down the street or something like that. Maybe you'll have to get rid of some sound effects like that. The biggest thing about audio is, and this is probably going to surprise you, there's a saying out in Hollywood that says a film, any type of major production film, is 51% audio. And just for analogy purposes, what they're saying is that there's a slight tip to the audio, or else people will bail. And the same is true for your videos. It's easier to sit through a video with bad video than it is to sit through a video with bad audio. More people will hit stop, go on to the next one, and maybe even skip your entire channel thinking that might be the way. They'll just assume that that's the way all the audio sounds, even though that might not be true. Maybe it was just that one episode. But still, audio is a key component to videos. Like we say in the voiceover business, your recording is 10% the microphone, 90% your room treatment. And I'm sure you've seen pictures of foam on the wall and bass traps and stuff like that. Maybe you didn't know they were bass traps, or that's what they're called, but I know you've seen like the pyramid-shaped foam on the wall and stuff like that. That is very common, and 9 times out of 10, very needed. You don't want that extra slap and echo and stuff like that. You don't want that bathroom sound effect, is what you don't want. And you can correct a lot of that in post-production, but maybe not all of it. So to get started, to learn the ropes, to cut your teeth, yes, your phone is okay for audio. I would not try to live there. In fact, that would probably be the very first thing that I would upgrade, is going to a better microphone. And then finally, the last component to putting all this together is editing. And there are tons of editing software out there that you can get for free. A lot of it out there for free. Well, first of all, there's probably at least one app already installed on your phone. So you can shoot your video, record your audio, and edit the whole thing right there on your phone before you even upload it from your phone to YouTube. It can all be done right there. Or if you wanted to, you could certainly extract the video, send it, email it to yourself, whatever, and work on it on your computer. And your computer probably already has software installed that came from either Microsoft or Apple or something like that. What are we talking about? Apple or PC, already installed with a very basic, rudimentary video editing program already there. iMovie ring a bell to anyone? It's already installed with any Apple. And there are tons of others that you can download as well. In fact, there are some Hollywood grade editors that you can download that have a free version to them, just a few less bells and whistles than the paid for version. And trust me, for what you're going to be doing, especially when it comes to something like this, like talking head videos, which as a business owner, that's probably what you're going to concentrate on, demonstration videos, talking head videos, teaching videos, that kind of thing. That's more than enough power that you need to get that stuff done. And finally, here's the kicker. I mentioned this at the very beginning. No matter what you do with an audio podcast, you're gonna have to pay for hosting. So there's a cost, even if you've been able to get if you've been able to get this far with cameras and lighting and audio and editing, you're gonna have to pay for hosting when it comes to audio. But with a video podcast, YouTube account is free. Well, I take that back. You need a Gmail account first. After that, it's free. And yes, the Gmail account is free. So once you get signed up with Google, you've got access to a YouTube channel that you can claim as your own and start uploading content immediately. That's how you can get a video podcast for free. It's a lot easier than an audio podcast. How about that? That just, I don't know, just seems counterintuitive to me. And in fact, remember all that software I talked about? I have a free guide for you for the free software, if that makes sense. Both are free, the free guide and the free software. Click below in the description and you'll see a link down there to get your copy of this report of all the free, not all the free software, but some really major players in the free software world to get your video editing up and running immediately. Click the link down below in the description. I'm Nic Natarella with AdWise Creative. Thank you for watching.